Ain't no half Steppin, Marcus J. 804-447-0601. 804-447-0601. We've been playing some hip-hop music week after week after week after week. I figured tonight we play a few of the songs that inspired some of your hip-hop classics. So that's what we're doing tonight. Starting off with James Brown, the most sampled man in hip-hop history. So you know you're going to probably hear some George Clinton later. So stay tuned. Ain't no half Steppin with Marcus J. We're going to get into the football segment. National Football League, we just concluded. Well, we'll conclude tonight, week 5, with the Jets loss tonight against Houston. But we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we saw. The first thing I want to get into was just an embarrassment that we saw yesterday with the fans cheering the concussion suffered by Matt Castle of the Kansas City Chiefs. You had a bunch of the Chiefs players who spoke out very, very angrily, most notably a Chiefs player by the name of Eric Winston scolding the fans for cheering when Matt Castle goes out with a concussion. The fans of the Baltimore Ravens begin to cheer, standing ovation.
You sure the Ravens or the Kansas City Chiefs?
It was Chiefs fans. I'm sorry. Chiefs fans cheering for their own quarterback going out with a concussion. Thank you for correcting me there, Carl. Mm-hmm. Big Rube, when I saw the story about this, it just kind of blew my mind. I mean, we all have had teams who we don't like our quarterback. I mean, the Cowboys have been through it. You had some lean years with some quarterbacks. I'm sure you're happy with the guy you have now. You guys are happy in Washington with the quarterback that you have now, who coincidentally also went out yesterday with a concussion. As a Giants fan, I'm certainly familiar of what it feels like to have a quarterback that I'm not happy with. But for you as a fan, a cheer guy who just went out injured, I think my personal opinion somewhat crosses the lines. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, really? I mean, I don't think he was doing that bad, but yeah, that was real messed up. I mean, how do you cheer your starting quarterback, you know, that he's hurt? And then to make it worse, at the same time he actually got his concussion, there was a plane flying over top basically saying to bench Matt Castle during the game. A plane with a sign saying bench Matt Castle during the game. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, we've been through hellified years in Washington. We ain't never done any crazy stuff like that, ever.
Big bruh, did you see this story? And if you hadn't, now that it's being introduced to you, you're a football fan, you're a Cowboys fan, and you played football competitively in when you were a younger fella. What's your thoughts on the fans of the team, of the injured player, cheering?
Really, as a true fan of the sport itself, I think that was disgraceful and totally tasteless. Now, let's not get it twisted. Everybody likes to see a good hit. Everybody loves to see somebody get laid out. But to sit there and truly boo somebody or to cheer when somebody gets hurt on that level is totally disrespectful and uncalled for. Like you said, playing ball before, it's just ugly.
Tony, what's your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree. I mean, you know, whether it's, you know, your team or the opposing team, you never want to see somebody get injured. I mean, yeah, it's football. It's a rough contact sport, but you don't cheer when somebody's down, whether, you know, you're a fan or even if they're not doing a great job, you know, in their position. I
remember a couple years ago, Big Brother Carlton Banks and Marcus J., we sat at my crib on week 1 when we usually have our little gatherings. We sit at the crib, we have our families, we had the food and the drinks, and we all chilling, and we were watching Trent Green. I can't remember what team he was playing
Kansas
for.
City.
He was playing for Kansas City. It was week 1, and he took one of those hits that make a grown man watching on TV kind of stop what he's doing and cringe. Because I remember the three of us sitting on my couch, kind of comatose, watching as it took 10, 15 minutes for them to get Trent Green together to get him off the field. And as we know, he was never the same after that, Carlton Banks.
I thought he was literally dead.
We all did, Big Brother. You remember. We thought he was dead that day.
Yeah, we stopped.
Yeah. It wasn't fun no more.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun no more. So, Carlton Banks, that being said, what's your thoughts on this new story that's come out?
You know, it is sad to see fans cheer somebody being hurt. These guys go out there, yeah, they make millions. Yeah, they put their lives in their hands to go out and give us a good show. You don't cheer somebody getting hurt. Yes, and in the thespian world, you say go break a leg, but that's good luck. In football, you say go break a leg, that's literal.
You might go break a leg for real.
Okay? You know, you don't want to see somebody get hurt. You never want to see somebody get hurt and in their career on something like that. That man may not come out and do anything like he's supposed to again. You as a fan can boo him off the field while he's playing, but not when he's hurt. You know, I've seen it in high school and in college. Player gets hurt. You know, teams take a knee, cheerleaders take a knee, and they get until the guy comes off the field, and then they clap, and then you see the symbolic thumbs up from the player as they go off the field. But you don't boo or cheer, regardless.
Yeah.
A player getting hurt.
Yeah, I
mean, that's sick, man.
It's tasteless, and it almost kind of reminds me of, no disrespect to Philly fans, but that's kind of how they roll. These are the same people that booed Santa Claus and got a jail inside the stadium. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I thought. Colin Banks, I'm gonna stay with you. We had a record that was set yesterday.
Yes.
By a player down in the Big Easy. Why don't you tell us, the listeners, about that record, and then tell us what your thoughts were on that record.
Mr. Drew Brees decided he wants to go out and break a 50-plus year record of throwing at least one touchdown pass in a game. One touchdown pass per game. Now, granted, you saw Baltimore and Kansas City 9-3 field goal game. This man threw, 4 touchdowns yesterday?
Yeah.
3 of them to Marcus Colson?
Yep.
That man went off. He's like, you know what? I got to go and do what I got to do. Now, granted, okay, they played a decent squad. It's hard to stop any quarterback from throwing a touchdown. New Orleans beat up on San Diego. I think part of it was the simple fact that they had Gary Payton up in the house. Not Gary Payton. I keep saying Gary Payton.
Sean Payton.
Sean Payton.
The glove.
Sean Payton.
Hey, I keep it in the family though.
The coach, the suspended coach.
Yeah,
Sean
the suspended
Payton.
coach. I think a lot of it had to do with that because if he wasn't there, they would not have played that inspired ball in front of the coach, and I think they would have taken that other L, which really would have solidified them not making the playoffs this year.
Well, his line went 29 for 45, 370 with 4 touchdowns. Now we know that he has 48 touchdown in 48 straight games. Once again, as Colin Banks alluded to, breaking the record, I believe that was set in 1960 or 61. Someone help me. Who was the record holder? Baltimore. Johnny Unitas. Big Rube, tell me your thoughts on this game, or particularly Drew Brees and the historical context. Not so much the game, because we know the Saints won 31-24. The Saints get their first victory of the season after getting their ass kicked 4 weeks in a row, but they win the game. But more importantly, the historical context of what Drew Brees did last night.
This is one of the few rules. This is one of the few records that nobody ever thought was going to ever be broken. I mean, you're talking 48 games straight. You're talking at the very least 3 seasons of 16 game seasons. I mean, and he did this basically in 3.5. Because he did it at the beginning of one season, in the middle of one season, and it went on. So it took him basically 3 total seasons to do this.
Right.
It's amazing. This is the one record, I think, in the NFL record books that people never thought was going to be broken.
Right.
And now he broke it. He's going to set something that probably will not ever be broken. The next person is like 30 straight games or something. I mean, so far
So he's
away.
a season behind.
Yeah, easy a season behind. So, this is one of those records that probably won't be broken. And Drew Brees is still pretty young.
Yeah.
And playing for the Saints, I mean, he's going to score a touchdown every game.
No reason to think that it's going to stop. Big bro,
yeah.
when you see Drew Brees get this record, I mean, when he first started in the league playing out there in San Diego, a lot of people gave him not so much the props. He was a shorter quarterback. He always had the skill, but we weren't sure what he was going to do until he ended up in New Orleans when he started developing this Hall of Fame career. Now that we see that he's done this 48 straight games historically, where do you think that puts him, in your opinion, with regards to the great quarterbacks in history?
Honestly, Drew Brees is still a good quarterback. I still wouldn't put him in the great category. No, I wouldn't put him in the great category.
He gets a look from Big Rube. Go ahead and make your point, and Big Rube's going to jump on you behind that.
There's a lot of quarterbacks out there right now who actually still are better. That number for me, doesn't really solidify anything for the simple fact. Guess what, folks? Most people were probably scared to go out and hit him because they were worried about the hit squad that was going to be behind them later on.
See?
Come on, Rube.
See?
Quit playing.
Big Rube.
You listen to the show quite frequently. And you know, literally, at least every week, we talk about the elite quarterbacks. I mean, if you're not going to sit here and tell me that Drew Brees is not elite, he's got a chip. He's broke a record that nobody would ever thought would be broken. And you know what? He's going to probably play at least 2 or 3 more years, and he's going to break all of the records that Farve broke. Guaranteed. He's throwing
Are
five.
you seriously telling me that you believe right now
Yeah.
that Drew Brees is in the contention to go along with Brett Favre?
I think Drew Brees, my personal opinion, I'll jump in here.
Yeah.
My personal opinion right now, today, Drew Brees is better than Brett Favre.
Yeah, Brett Favre is terrible.
Brett Favre is probably
That's
one
'cause
of the
he's sitting
worst.
out right now.
He is one of the worst great players I have ever seen in my life.
But
And
he's
here's
still
why.
great.
He is one of the worst great players I've ever
So
seen
he's
in my
like
life. You know
Dan
why?
Marino, who never won a Super Bowl, but he's still the baddest.
Yeah, but
quarterback
you know
out
what?
there,
But
right?
you know what though? There are a lot of great players who have never won a chip. Charles Barkley never won a chip. Karl Malone never won a chip. We understand that we're talking about a different sport and we're talking about a different position. But the point is, you get to be great without winning, and Dan Marino gets to be great without winning. He's great. He went to the Super Bowl one time, his rookie season,
Got
and never
smacked.
made it back.
Got smacked.
Brett Favre has the most interceptions of any quarterback
And
ever,
fumbles.
and fumbles. Brett
How many
Favre.
yards did he have though?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, I would pull up their stats, and I don't have it in front of me.
Actually, he's
but
thrown like 525 touchdowns and like 349 interceptions. The only reason I know it because me and my little brother were talking about it yesterday.
Okay.
Because I was just like, Brett Favre, he's going to be Hall of Fame. But if he's going to be Hall of Fame, man, Hall of Fame is wide open.
But you know what though? Brett Favre is a guy who played 15 years or
He
more,
played extra years
and
to beat some
and he has one chip. And if he didn't have that one chip that he won 20 years ago
He
this
wouldn't
year,
be elite.
he wouldn't. I don't know that I would say that he'd be good. He'd be real
Yeah.
good. He'd be real
Yeah.
good. But I think if it was me, when we look at the hierarchy or the Mount Rushmore of today's quarterbacks, most people have Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and what's the New England guy, Tom Brady, at the top, and then it starts getting somewhat hazy as who gets to be number 4 and number 5. If it was 2 years ago, of course, it would have been Peyton Manning. We haven't seen that guy since he's been back. Me personally, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers off of that. What's he had? 2 years, maybe?
Well, to your contention and to your greatness, I take Eli all day over some of the people you just sit there and said.
I mean, I would personally agree with you.
And
Because
I don't like
and
that.
I know, but see, the thing is, and I appreciate you going there because you're a fair fan. And ain't too many fair fans out there. There's too many people that's drinking their own fanship Kool-Aid that they don't have the integrity, and that's no disrespect to them, but they don't have the integrity to just keep it real when it comes to the player. If you don't like the player, you don't think the player is good, cool. It shouldn't matter about his laundry. It should be more about the player. Now, if we go back to Drew Brees, I mean, just if you look at it looks like this dude throws 300 yards every single game.
Because he does.
It seems like he does. He's thrown a touchdown in 48 straight games.
Yep.
I mean, when you look at the way this team was built, it's similar to how the Rams were built in the late 90s with Kurt Warner and Isaac Bruce and those boys. Whereas this particular New Orleans team appears to be better for a little bit longer than that team was. And what's the constant? Drew Brees. So I think, Carlton Banks, I'm gonna have you jump in here because you haven't really said anything on the dispute on his greatness, and I'm gonna let Big Bro kind of debate you on this. What's your thoughts on Drew Brees' greatness? And since Brett Favre's name was brought up, who's better?
I like Brett Favre only because of the fact he was just a more active quarterback. Don't get me wrong, Drew has his moments. I can't say he's not, and he is at the same time. I'm like on the fence with Drew. I like to see more out of him. Like to see him do a little bit more. I don't know. Yes, I said that.
What?
That's my opinion.
Big Rube is saying what? I mean,
What do you want this man to do? The man took took a franchise who used to get joked on forever, and he took it to the Super Bowl. The dude throws for 500. He has a record for the most passing yards in a season. The dude has a chip. The dude just broke a record that nobody else will ever smell. And
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nobody else is gonna ever smell it. So And then you're going to sit here and say Brett Favre is better than him?
I think he's out of his damn mind. Personally,
Completely.
I think he's out of his damn
Brett
mind.
Favre has the yards. He has the touchdowns. But the one thing Brett Favre also has is the ability to give a game away in the fourth quarter. He's known for throwing interceptions at horrible times.
I made the analogy a few. I guess it was last season when we looked at some of the great players and comparing them to quarterbacks of the past. And when I looked at Brett Favre, as great as he was, he reminded me of Tony Romo. And the reason why I made that comparison is because we talking about two really good players. I wouldn't call either of them great, but I would call them both really, really good. And when they're good, they are great. But when they're bad, they're so bad that you kind of forget how great they were. And I think if Tony continues on his trajectory, I think his ceiling is Brett Favre at his best.
And let's just be honest. If Brett Favre never gets a chip, do we even talk about Brett Favre?
We talk about him, but we won't call him great.
He's not better than Marino.
He's certainly not better than Marino.
So, I mean, to me, the only reason why he's even thought about is because he has a chip. If he doesn't have a chip, he's not even Marino, and Marino is really the only exception to the no chip rule as far as a quarterback goes.
Right. Tony, when you hear us going back and forth on Brett Favre, Drew Brees, we got one guy who is considered to be great, future Hall of Famer, one guy still playing. What do you think about when you hear us talking about that? I'm not sure if you pay much attention to them because we know that your quarterback is Ben Roethlisberger, but when you hear us going back and forth on those guys, what do you think?
I mean, I tend to agree as far as, some of the greats. I will say that Drew Brees would not be on my list of the greats, as far as quarterbacks. He actually wasn't even on my radar really until, the past couple of years. Big Rue made a comment earlier saying that, Drew Brees was pretty young. He's 33 years old. That's old in football years, and he's, been playing in the NFL for 10 years. So, he's kind of built up to that. So I would think after 10 years of playing in the NFL that you should be really knocking down some records at this point.
But the one thing about Drew Brees is I will give them credit, and this is the New Orleans Saints. The dude never gets touched. They are channeling the Dolphins' offensive line when he plays. The dude rarely gets touched. Rarely. I mean, the Redskins, when we played them, touched him like 3 times. And I mean, not that we have a great pass rush or anything, but damn, we send like 7 people, and this dude never gets touched because he throws the ball so quick.
Then just make sure you say that that's the offensive line, not Drew Brees.
No, but I never said the offensive line was bad. I watched the game last night. Offensive line was beast until no, that was the other team. Yeah, the offensive line was beast.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had to think about that.
If
for
you
a
got
second.
all day to throw the ball, my son
Exactly.
could throw it. He's only 3. He
But
can
then
throw it 56 yards and get a touchdown.
Yeah, and Drew Brees throws in 3 seconds tops. I mean, really, you got guys like Colston in them. I mean, they turn around time passing. It's beautiful.